There's a certain kind of experience that is exclusive to VR. Finding oneself in a virtual world, orienting, navigating, and interacting with it produces an experience of a certain distinct character. There is something intriguing and marvelously weird in experiencing virtual realities. The experiential quality is affected by the sheer virtuality or unreality of it. And this, in turn, may make the illusion unexpected and beautiful. We know that VR is a synthesized, not naturally occurring experience, and further, we react to these stimuli as if they were real. Due to its unique character of offering convincing illusions, and our unique quality of, on the one hand, seeing through them, and on the other, being totally helpless in responding to it as if it weren't real. We get the weird, thrilling experience of VR. How did this oxymoron of technology come to be? What does it represent in us as humans? How should we view, relate to, and approach the emerging virtual worlds that the technology will enable for us?
You are watching Disrupt.
Hey, what's up, gamers? Right now we are 2 levels deep in the simulation. The real world is here, controlled by the laws of physics in an ever-expanding universe. Wow. Within that we are in a virtual world that is an ever-expanding metaverse. Wow. And within that metaverse I am playing a massive multiplayer strategy game called Raid Shadow Legends. The game plays like a top-down champion strategy game, relying on balancing your champion's abilities to different types of enemies. Red beats blue, blue beats green, and green beats red. By selecting stronger characters, we get the edge. Nice. Season 1 Battle Pass is happening at the moment, meaning we can get rewards like energy refills, gems, and legendary champions by completing weekly challenges. Since we're new to the game, the link in the description will give us 100k silver and a free champion. Once the link is activated, we can find the new user rewards in our inbox. They are only available for 30 days though. Good luck out there in the fight, and don't forget, pet a cat when you encounter one in the street.
A central aspect that we have to address as part of this investigation is the origins of VR, as we can relate it to Heidegger. Heidegger was a German philosopher, known for his work within the Existentialism branch of philosophy. He defines technology as not in itself something technological, and what it means to us leans more towards an underlying ideal and thought than what it does towards different physical artifacts. Technology is essentially a way of viewing the world. If we shall try to understand the earliest origin of VR, it is appropriate to consider VR as an idea. Essentially, a thought or even a dream, the dream of being able to define reality, creating a re-representation. The same dream that inspired cave paintings. VR is a product of the creative element in humans, for good and for worse. The dream of absolute control over matter, but also the dream of a creative medium without limitations. Similarly to how Heidegger imagined art as the potential savior of the way technology inframes the world and ourselves, J.R.R. Tolkien's distinction of magic in the universe of the Lord of the Rings can serve as a metaphor. The elves use their magic only for artistic purposes and are consciously aware of the difference between reality and deception. The enemy, however, uses it to deceive and control. Technology may separate us from a more original revealing of truth by inframing the world in a certain narrative or story, while art may open up reality towards new interpretations. Tolkien's elves use their magic in harmony with the real world, and similarly, Heidegger's more preferred technologies let nature be as it is, instead of inframing it as a means to an end. How are we to compare VR according to these technological criticisms? Whether we view the potentiality of the virtual as the dream of absolute control or domination, as Morgoth would have, or rather its potential for creative revealing and enhancement of the world, we can view VR as a technology according to Heidegger, or as magic according to Tolkien. In 1998, together with Andy Clark, David Chalmers published a paper describing an idea under the name of
the extended mind.
The central question which they approach is where our minds stop and where the world begins. Where is the boundary, in other words, between the dualism of self and other? To which degree is the brain the mind, or the mind the brain? The philosophers deal with these themes in arguing that the tools and technologies we use become a part of our minds, and so we extend ourselves into the world. Chalmers parallels this view to the perhaps better-known examples of bodily extensions or embodiments. For example, in how blind people's canes work as an extension of their body. The point being, we are outsourcing certain mind functions to machines, such as recalling phone numbers to our phones. Similarly, spatial navigation and information is offloaded to navigation apps. The point, however, cannot be reduced to understanding these technologies as tools. The view is that, though they are not wired directly to our brains, they are becoming a part of our minds. This is touching upon the mind-brain problem. To which extent can the mind be reduced or traced back to the brain? Now, obviously, if we cap someone on the head, they become unconscious and so apparently have no mind. It may from this naively be deduced that thus the mind is the brain. When the mind is operating, it is harder to reduce it as it uses what it perceives to operate its functions. In addressing this problem, we can then ask what is so special about the inside of the brain that only this part should have the special features constituting our mind. This can be related to information structures, using processes stored in local hard drives versus in the cloud. They both are part of the computer, in principal terms. Here we reach the point of our entry. If our minds can be extended into the physical world, how may we extend it into the virtual? In other words, a perspective that can be had in imagining the virtual worlds of the future is to view them as extensions of our minds. What tools, then, should we use during our thought processing?
The case would be that we have a virtual environment like this, and we could place things like images or videos or GIFs, 3D objects that would represent memories for us. Research is showing that if we have something visual and spatial to remember things by, then we remember them better. So this can be recreated virtually. So I think this is a really interesting way to use the VR media.
These can be personalized, meaningful places from which we gain sustenance, peace, or productivity. They can be filled with various tools for emotional healing, meditation, work, relaxation, or entertainment. These rooms can be viewed as extensions of our minds and a way for us to immerse ourselves and synchronize ourselves to the various activities which we want to carry out. The way this is related to VR as an existential problem is the concept of VR is asking our opinion in a different sense than normal technologies. It is not a question of whether we want A or B, but fundamentally, from the start, what we would like to see, or in other words,
Now that we can do anything, what will we do?
viewers interested in exploring more VR philosophy can head to matrice.no. Last week I asked you, in a freak accident, your cord has been cut loose from the station. You're drifting away with no rescue on the way. You can send one message back to Earth. What do you say? Nick Roca says, quote, I think I'd talk about my opinions on the world and my life. If I had the time, I'd probably talk about things I regretted and things I loved doing. I'd also mention that the Earth is round to prove the flat earthers wrong. Chill Guy said,
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
Thank you for your answers. This week's question